Sorry. Yep, we're good.
Okay.
I think you can hear me.
You might move your microphone if you can a little closer to you too. There you go. Okay, we ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency Joint Regular Meeting, Tuesday, January 20th, 2015. Already. We're here at City Hall, and I'd ask that if you have a cell phone, please turn it to vibrate or mute. We will start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Orchard Cryer, if he would, to lead us in that. Do we have an invocation tonight? Then
Yes,
we'll do
Rodney Wyckoff.
Oh, there, Rodney Wyckoff. Okay. So if you'll please stand and join us.
Salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rodney?
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we gather this evening, I want to lift our council members before you. We pray for them. We pray for their leadership. We have elected these to be our representatives, and I pray that you would give them the wisdom they need to make the choices that are in the best interest for our city. I pray that you would be with the rest of us, give us grace so that we will allow them to lead, that we will support them in their leadership, and that we will give them the benefit of the doubt as they make choices, decisions that are necessary for the well-being of each and every one of us. And we thank you for this meeting. We pray your guidance throughout it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much, Rodney. Rodney's with the West Hills Church of the Nazarene. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Cryer?
Here.
Councilmember Bryant?
Here.
Councilmember Hill? Here. Mayor Miller?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Noor is absent.
He indicated he would be late tonight. He's working over. We have our first item is a study session, but we're going to change it up and go to item 2 first for a certificate of recognition of our Taft College men's soccer team. And I have a certificate here from the City of Taft. Certificate of recognition. The City Council of the City of Taft hereby recognizes the Taft College Cougars men's soccer team for their accomplishment in advancing the state semifinals. The Taft Cougars finished the season of 21-1-2. That's dated this January 20th, 2015, signed by all the councilmen and women. I gotta get used to that. We're just so proud of you young men for your accomplishments, because you took on some major giant teams in this state, and to get to the semifinals, and I know in the past we've made it all the way to the finals and won. So we're very, very, this whole community is very proud of you and the representation that you have represented, not only Taft College and the City of Taft, but yourselves and your families. So Dr. Malloy, would you want to accept this, or Kanoy?
Well, let me, if you don't mind, introduce the folks, and then maybe the coach and our athletic director and our vice president, maybe the team.
Sure, we want to hear about it, so how the year went and how we did. So.
Okay, all right, so let me start with a few introductions from our governing board. So from our governing board of trustees, Manny Campos, our board of trustee member. We also have Kanoy Bandy, our athletic director, here tonight. Angelo Catrona, our soccer coach, and Maisha Catrona, our women's soccer coach. We get 2 for the price of 1 here. It's wonderful. And then, of course, all of our team members. We're so proud of all these young men. They did such a fabulous job, and as you said, brought such pride to Taft College and to the City of Taft and to themselves. We really are very proud of them. Angela, would you come up, please, and say a few words about the season and about your players here tonight?
You're on TV, so we,
All right. Well, first, there's a lot to say, but I won't keep everybody here too long. I'd like to thank the city of Taft and the council for recognizing us, recognizing the team. That's always awesome to see. I recognize a lot of folks in here. I've seen you at our games, appreciate the support. Like to thank, obviously, Taft College and our administration, our athletic director, everybody. We have great support staff at Taft College, and I love coaching here and love being part of the city. I have to thank the boys. Obviously, they don't hear too much, they probably hear from time to time some positives come out of my mouth, but mostly criticisms or critiques and how to get better and all that good stuff. But I definitely have to recognize them again once more for not only meeting our standards, but overachieving. Year after year, they're doing a great job, and I know they're great young men, and I appreciate that the city of Taft also is recognizing both their efforts on the athletic field and in the classroom. So boys, good job. Really appreciate all your work and
absolutely.
effort.
Do you have all-stars? Any, I don't know how they do
Yeah.
that. Do we have some
Sure,
young
yeah.
men that are all-stars too?
Yeah, we have some fantastic soccer players. As of right now, we have 7, is that correct? Well, I'll just say 7. I believe it's about 7 that are verbally committed to Division I soccer teams,
Wow.
soccer schools. We have 4 that are committed to Cal State Fullerton, and 2 that are committed to Cal State Northridge, so that's 6, and 1 that's committed to a Division II San Francisco State. That's...
You got some returners, I hope.
Yes,
Oh,
we have
okay.
about 9 or so returners, and obviously expectations are big.
Yeah.
Going off, just to let you know, the guys, recognize some of the guys that did some great things and got some personal awards. Let's see, I need some help here. Well, J.D. Cisneros, we'll go with the big time. J.D., you want to stand up?
Please.
J.D. Cisneros was first team All-American.
There we go.
Yeah.
Ah,
And of course, that's all a voting process. If it was for me, we'd have about 4 more All-Americans, but it's luck of the draw sometimes. Ruben Alvarez was conference MVP, team MVP, and he earned first team West Region.
And Ruben, would you
Ruben
please stand?
Alvarez.
Yeah.
Okay, just trying to figure this out. Okay, we have Edgar Rodriguez was, help me out, Edgar, midfielder of the year. Midfielder of the year for the Central Valley Conference.
All right.
And just so you can see how things are kind of shared and mixed around, Edgar Rodriguez was our conference MVP last year, and Ruben Alvarez, let's just say he stole it from Edgar this year. But it's nice that we're keeping it within our team, so pretty cool. Torres, right? Oscar Torres earned Offensive Player of the Year.
All right.
2 years in a row, Oscar Torres, Offensive Player of the Year. One of the players that's committed to Cal State Fullerton. And anybody else here? Ramon Chavez was Defender of the Year, and he's already graduated from Taft College, earning a high GPA of 3-point-something, close to a 4.0, and he's already on Cal State Fullerton's campus. He graduated early,
for him.
and he's there and going to continue representing Taft College at the next level. So we're really proud of Ramon Chavez, and he was a Defender of the Year. Is that anybody? Please help me out, boys. Am I missing anybody? Few freshmen got honorable mention. Daniel Ortiz, I want to recognize him, all the way from Texas, has made a big commitment to Taft, to the city of Taft. And Enrique Garcia, and how about Axel Cruz? The 2 of them also honorable mention. So, Gustavo, yes.
Well, we're delighted you're here, and the reason we wanted you to come down and get some recognition, because we're not just videotaping and it stays down here at City Hall. This goes on the community channel, so the folks in Taft will be able to get to see you. If they didn't get to see your games, at least they get to see you tonight. And, so see some faces to names, and that's really a good thing. So we're so glad you came, and Coach, next year, we're looking to be back in the finals again and go all the way.
Always. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you again so much. In my haste to get to the team, I overlooked a couple of people I want to introduce real quickly. Our Vice President of Student Services, Darcy Bogle. Darcy was a Taft graduate. She played on our basketball team, and she is now our Vice President of Student Services, so a real success story there. And one other thing I wanted to mention in the audience tonight is my mom. So I wanted to introduce my mom.
Hey, Mom.
She's visiting Mary Pearson from Orange County, and I'm just proud that I could have her here tonight to see our wonderful team get your recognition, so thank you.
so maybe we can get a little picture over here against the, Doug? Yep, over here. Well, because I'd like to get Coach and Kanoy and Vice President.
And you take care of it, you want us all on that? Just you take care of it?
You want to do it up there?
let's do that there, as long as it's not there.
Right. Move around a little bit.
That's all right. Hey, I'll let you go. Out before I push back. Well, it's easier than me trying to pin you in there, then get out. All right.
Who's the team captain?
Oh, man.
Do we have one?
With Ramon, that's our Kelsey Rueton, and Edgar. Come on, Edgar.
Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Hold on this side, make it
He's got a wide angle, but it's not that one.
Edgar, come right here. You're good.
Oh, happy days, it was chicks up front.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks again. Thank you.
Boys, you're not committed to stay for the whole meeting, so if you'd like to go ahead and step out, that'd be fine, unless you want to stay and learn a little bit about government. So, thank you.
If you want to learn more about government, go sit in Dr. P's poli-sci class.
So we'll take a moment, we'll come back.
Hey, congratulations, guys.
This is not like being on ESPN, but it's the best we can do.
GSPN, right?
Right there lined up.
All right? Okay, we're back. We're moving on to our first item, which is a study session. And this is HDL's new Economic Development Consulting Services Plan, presented by Barry Foster. Craig, if you have something else before, okay. Mr. Foster, you'll kind of give us an idea what you're up to and what you're presenting.
Thank you for having me tonight. I hope my voice holds out fighting off a cold, and I was at a workshop mostly yesterday and ended up losing my voice a little bit. So anyway, I thank you for having me, having the opportunity to come and talk to you about a program that we're pretty excited about at HDL. I had the opportunity in October to meet Craig, your city manager, when I was down at the International Council of Shopping Centers Conference in San Diego, and he was down there beating the bushes for new business opportunities for Taft, and we struck up a conversation, and I explained to him that I had worked 23 years for 4 cities in California and had worked in development services primarily. My last position, I was the Community and Economic Development Director for the city of Moreno Valley down in Southern California. Retired from public service and got recruited by HDL, and I've known that company for about 22 years and had used them in the cities I had worked in. And they recruited me to come work for them as a principal with the company and start up something that they had been looking at doing for quite a while, and that was to do economic development services. As cities went through the recession and had to go through budget challenges and workforce reductions and other kinds of things, a lot of communities have had to go ahead and reduce funding for economic development and lay off people and all those kinds of things. And it's important to have an emphasis on economic development because it has opportunities for a community to produce revenues, whether it's sales tax or property tax or jobs or anything. It helps really stabilize and make a community better. So HDL has offered up this new program that we're working on to assist our clients. A little bit about HDL. It's a 32-year-old company based in Diamond Bar. It has a number of different divisions and companies that are part of its umbrella. We do sales tax consulting, we do property tax consulting, and then we do have a software company too. And so then economic development will follow up and provide another new opportunity to serve our clients. Right now we've got about 380 cities and counties in California that are our clients. A lot of our clients have been with us for over 20 years. A big part of what HDL and the company does is we value relationships and working with the communities that we serve, and those have proven to be largely long-term relationships. Our reputation is something that we feel very important about and something that we work at every day. Instead of doing a normal PowerPoint, what I did was put together a proposal for you to, and I'm going to walk you through it tonight and talk a little bit about it. But there's a letter that I had sent off to Craig, and it really gives you a little flavor for some of the things that I've worked on. And the 4 communities I worked on, after I semi-retired and then went back to HDL, I actually totaled up everything I'd worked on in those 4 communities for 23 years in Southern California. And I helped facilitate over 28 million square feet of new development in those communities. And so pretty experienced at having worked in development services. A lot of, and if you look at the pages on page 2 and 3, these are just a sampling some of the kinds of uses and companies that I've been able to facilitate opportunities with in the cities I worked in.
These are pretty big companies. Have you worked for these in smaller communities like Taft?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think that the opportunity that I saw, especially when I was in Moreno Valley and then before that in Rancho Mirage, was when we went into economic downturns, it was really important not just to pursue ground-up development, but to fill out the spaces that you have. And I had an opportunity to come up a little bit early today, and you've got some spaces, you've got some opportunities, I think, here, and I think that we can help with that. A lot of what I did was to take, when Mervyn's went out of business, we had to put a new use in there. We put Burlington Coat Factory in there. We had a Ralph's that closed down. We ended up putting a TJ Maxx and a Home Goods in there. We had a Staples that moved to a new location. We ended up putting Ulta Beauty and a Bevmo in there. So again, I think it's being creative and looking at opportunities. Sometimes you can't put a retail use that produces sales tax in there. You have to look for something different. And so what we did was oftentimes put fitness uses in there. It creates traffic and generates trips and activities. It provides an anchor, and it helps stabilize either a downtown or a shopping center or a retail area. So a lot of what I did was taking and reusing in a productive way those spaces. If you look at the proposal that I had provided to Craig earlier, what I'm suggesting for Taft is a number of different activities. One is to better understand Taft and research and look at the community, understand the community, and then put together a community profile. We've done this for a number of our clients. And it's something you can put on your website. It's something you can have available in City Hall. It's something you can use as a marketing, as part of your marketing packet. And it gives you a flavor at the end of the packet, there's an example for what we did for the city of Upland. But it gives you, in about 4 or 5 pages, a snapshot of your community, looks at the demographics, looks at a number of the important categories that you want to put out either to the community or the development community. The second point is to draft an economic development action plan. And this is not a grandiose strategy that you put up on the shelf and it looks really good up there. And a lot of communities have done those kinds of things. This is a working document. This is maybe about 4 or 5 pages of bullet points where you're identifying opportunities that you can pursue and accomplish in your community in a 2-year period. You're looking at the marketplace. You're looking at your community. I would be working very closely with your city manager and his staff and trying to understand what are those key points, what are those key activities and industries that you want to promote in Taft. And so it's a document that I've used in other communities and we've used it with clients. It's something that it's a working, active document. That's why we call it an action plan. It's looking for results that you can produce, and then the council could come back at the end of that 2-year period and see what we were able to accomplish. And I'm pretty confident that we can work together to accomplish things. The next thing is what our company does is we have a number of software tools that we have where we can look at leakage reports and understand what's not being taken care of in this community. They're having to go elsewhere for it. And so we can identify areas of opportunity in terms of categories, either retail or restaurant. And so we have a software that we can do that, and I've got an attachment in here that shows the market and assessment and looks at Taft specifically. And so we can identify areas that we think we should target for this community, types of activities and categories that we should pursue. And then again, working with Craig and the staff, trying to understand the retail and restaurant opportunities that you think should be pursued, and things that would be important to the council and the community. We've got a software that we worked with a company called Expand Results out of Georgia. And they work with a number of national retailers. They work with Panda Express that's actually based in California. And they have a software that they've put together. We have a license agreement with them. And we've tweaked it to make it a little bit more effective for our use. But it looks at a trade area and it matches other communities that have similar types of trade areas. And I'm going to walk through one of the reports later on in the packet, but it seeks to look at trade areas that are similar to Taft, to your trade area, and try to match those. And then we look for prospective tenants or uses that are in those communities that would then make sense here. And again, I think your comment, Mr. Mayor, is we would be looking at things that would work in Taft. So the proposal, we're offering to do 2 of those reports, and again, we're discounting these. We're getting ready to roll this program out company-wide to all our clients, but we're looking to have about 10 and kind of slowly roll this thing out. I've got an opportunity for one more, and I'd love that to be Taft, but we have 5 that we're working with right now. We have another 4 that we're just finalizing agreements with right now and proposals. But again, I think we're looking to kind of slowly roll this thing out before we take it out to all 380 clients. And that's the reason why we're significantly discounting it as part of this pilot project. And then if you look at the last page, just to talk about HDL, one of the things that we have is because we represent almost all the major counties in the state of California, we have 99% of the sales tax information, the sales tax data for the businesses in the state of California. There's no other company that has that kind of, we have the largest privately held database in the state of California. So that helps when you're looking at matching trade areas, because then we can see that there's a store there, or there's a retailer there, or a restaurant there, but we can understand how good that store does. So we're helping paint that picture and tell that story when we're trying to recruit somebody to come here. We've got a lot more information than a lot of companies can offer. So that's the proposal. And again, there's some information here about HDL and we have 9 principals in the company. We're technically vice presidents, and all 9 of us formerly worked for cities. So we have that government experience. We're all either former economic development, community development, finance directors, city managers, and so we kind of understand the needs and the wants of a city. We've had that experience, and then now we've taken it to the private sector, and we're using it. And again, so it's important to have that reputation and be respected. But HDL has been around for a long, long time, and it truly is respected in the consulting community. On page 8 of the proposal, we're not any strangers. HDL is not strangers to Taft. You're using us for a lot of services. There's an item on the agenda later tonight for one of our divisions for our company to do a property management a report for you folks. But we do a number of things for Taft already, including sales tax reports and analysis, sales tax audits. We go find money that maybe gets put to a different community and get it back in the right community. You're using business license services, permit software, code enforcement services, and property tax reports and analysis. So I think over the years, HCL has been a partner to this community, and we'd like to have you think about offering one more service that we believe can help out Taft. If you look at after Section 9, this is something that we do every year. We identify retailers and restaurants and businesses that are really in expansion modes and looking at opportunities to grow. And so we want those communities to match up and look at opportunities that they have. And so we spend a lot of time updating this every year. And we just updated it here in early in January, but it provides 2 pages with some pretty small type on all these different retailers and restaurants and grocery stores and gas stations and what they're looking for in terms of a size and where they want to be and what kind of sales tax that they might generate. There's a resume for myself in there, and again, I've got 23 years of working with 4 different communities and in development services. I also have some private sector experience working for a number of major developers. I know what it takes to do a project. I know what it takes to do real estate transactions, and I know it's important to get things done quickly, on time, on budget, and do it right. Page 11, there's 5 different contacts for references. Those are the 5 communities that I'm working with right now, and there's another 4 that we're getting ready to also start working with.
Barry, where do you currently reside?
In the city of Riverside.
Riverside?
Riverside. Okay. And
is that where your home office is?
In Diamond Bar.
Diamond Bar, okay.
And, if you look at the list of tenants, we represent people all over the state of California. One of my clients is a marina, which is up by Monterey. So it's something that a lot of what we do in site selection or economic development, it's done on the phone, it's done via email. Site selectors do work 24 hours a day. They may be back they may have an office back on the East Coast or someplace else. And so, I think it's important to understand the community, and that's why I wanted to come up early today and drive through it and better understand it. But I also want to come back up again and spend some more time with Craig and get to know the community some more. But you don't need to be here. I mean, you need to understand what the community is about and then go out and sell it. If you look at, there's again that consumer demand and market supply assessment that I referenced earlier. You've got some red categories. Those are areas of opportunity. That's leakage that's going outside of Taft because you don't have stores or restaurants here to serve that. But those are also opportunities that we can talk to potential users to come in and help fill that void. And then I talked a little bit about that software that we have, and I'll just take one example. Here's a Red Robin that we looked at for Yucca Valley, and there's a few pages. I think there's 4 pages for a cover letter that we've presented to their real estate person. And so what we do is we're matching through that analog report the market area for a community. In this case, it was Yucca Valley to other similar kinds of communities. And then we're able then to do matches, and then we're able then to go in and look at those other communities, how well those restaurants and retailers do. And so we've gave a flavor here to the real estate person, the kinds of activities and retailers you have currently in Yucca Valley, which is in the high desert. And then we're looking at other kinds of restaurants and retailers that perform well there. I can't say that what they do specifically on a sales volume because we have confidentiality, but what I can do, we've got the ability through our software, is we can look at what the statewide average for that company is or the countywide average for that company is, and we can say how well that location in Yucca Valley does compared to the statewide average or to the countywide average. Again, trying to paint that picture on why this trade area is a good one. And then we've looked at matches for these other communities for these Red Robins in Apple Valley, in Rancho Mirage, in Redlands, and in Menifee. And then if you turn back a couple of pages, this is the analog report. And so it's identified, these are the top 4 Red Robins in other trade areas that are similar to Yucca Valley's trade area in terms of density and demographic makeup. It looks at 7 different categories in terms of income, and then it looks at how many households they have. It looks at their median household income spending, looks at traffic counts, and it looks at retail expenditures. And then the software calculates a match score, and in this case, the Apple Valley Red Robin has a match score of 81. So 100 would be a perfect match. You want to be at least 70% or above. 80 is good. 90 is very, very good. And so you're trying to, again, match that trade area with other similar kinds of trade areas. And then after that, we can break down and look at those trade areas from a whole bunch of different demographic perspectives. And if you want to go back to the last tab that I have, and that's the community profile I talked about earlier. This is the one that we did for the city of Upland that we just started working for the end of December. And so we look at and trying to put together a snapshot in something that's easy to understand and easy to read and gives you a lot of information at your fingertips right here. Looks at positive attributes of your community. Looks at your demographic highlights of your community. Looks at your market area, what it's made up of in terms of employment. And then it looks at your employers in your community. and any kind of either major brands or regional brands that are in your community. And Taft has some. As I drove through, you have some recognizable names that we can build upon and build off of. And then it looks at a number of different economic indicators on the last couple of pages, looking at the housing market, looking at how you're doing in terms of sales tax. And then it looks at who is the ideal potential customer. We've got that information through HDL to then look at categories that we think are underserved and underrepresented in your community that we want to target and go after. So with that, I wanted just to give you a real quick understanding and an opportunity to understand a little bit about who we are at HDL, my background, but then more importantly, the different tools that I think that we can offer up to your community, and working with your city manager in understanding opportunities for new business development in the community. And I'd love to have the opportunity to work with you. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Renee?
You know, I really just would like to know if you have any specific experience with communities our size.
Yucca Valley is smaller than you,
Okay?
and it's a kind of a remote community too. It's not on it's on the highway going to 29 Palms, but it's not on a freeway. It's off the freeway quite a bit.
Maybe on the east side?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Similar economic makeup, demographic?
Yeah, I think that I've got the capability to understand your community and work with you, and you know, our clients are spread across the state of California, and we've got a lot of communities that are similar to Taft, and I think that's why HDL has done so well, is that we've been able to adjust to the kind of community that we serve, and I'm pretty confident that I can understand what your community is all about and market it. And again, we're not going to go after Trader Joe's or P.F. Chang's, but there are opportunities, I think, to go after tenants and users that would want to be here. And so we need to paint that. We need to, you know, I think you need to always be realistic about who you are and what your community is about. When I worked in Moreno Valley, even though it was a city of 200,000, if you drilled down and looked at the education of that community, and you look at Riverside County and San Bernardino County really as a whole, 17% of the people in San Bernardino County have a college degree. 21% in Riverside County do. And so the people that said that they wanted me to bring in high tech, it just wasn't going to happen. We didn't have the educational framework for that. It would be great to have that, but it was going to take years and years and years to do that. If that kind of business was going to go to Irvine or Silicon Valley or someplace else, you need to understand that. You need to be able to understand who you are and what you're all about. And I think that there are uses for everybody, and you need to understand what you're about, and then you need to market it right. And so again, I think it's telling that story. I think we've got the tools that we can tell a story about the positive attributes that you have in this community and who would want to be here. And so I am pretty confident that we can work with you and that we can have results.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Cryer?
Thank you, Mayor. How much time have you spent here in Taft today or in the past?
Pardon me?
How much time have you spent here in Taft so far today?
I came up about 2 hours early.
So you have no idea what you're doing around and see what we have, or what we, any way to formulate what you think we might need, or?
No. I drove around the community and I looked at what was here. I looked online a number of times when we were putting together the proposal. But if given the opportunity, have to spend some more time, obviously. Again, I think I think we can adjust and understand what the community is about in putting together a plan that makes sense for here.
Things are happening here in our community. We've got a brand new motel being built, Best Western, high quality, and some restaurants, small, restaurants coming in. But we always use more higher level. But you are right, there is a shrinkage all of us go to Bakersfield to do our buying and stuff. We're lacking things here, or some of the things that the stores don't carry enough inventory that what we need to buy to purchase, especially the women. Looking at your list here, what you do, I can see we can use a Marshalls and different other businesses for clothing for the women and other businesses, and we're lacking like a Spartan Final. A lot of people think we can't support it, but look at Taft, it's a small city. But you check the suburbs around there, and you add Cuyama, Maricopa, up to Buttonwillow, that draw a lot of people here. They're going to Bakersfield, which is closer. Like a Smart and Final would be excellent for a lot of different merchants around here to come to. We got a lot of room for light manufacturing. It's an ideal location for light manufacturing. I was just looking at your list right here too. Thundercombs would be way too big for here, but we can sure take a smaller size. And we do have a need for jobs, and I think we're a very business-friendly community that permitting and planning would go a lot quicker here, getting things approved. I think we're very business-friendly. But I think we, it warrant you to spend some more time and see and talk with our GTDEA in the Chamber of Commerce, and come to our citizenship and listen to the people here and ask them questions and stuff. I think there's a lot of, we learn a lot the Little Committee has, because we have a really great community here, but we are hurting for some more businesses to come into town and to service some of the needs, so get rid of some of the bleeding that's happening, because they just see the population of the city limits, but they don't see the sphere of influence. That's the problem that we have, that's hurting us.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I think that there are companies like Smart and Final. I know them very, very well, and they are looking at new models, and they've kind of gone away from their traditional stores, which served more businesses and restaurants, and now they're serving more of the residential component. And so their new stores are actually called Smart and Final Extras. They're a little bit different, and so I've actually done one of those, and so that model is, they're looking for that niche. They're different than a traditional grocery store, a Stater Brothers or a Ralph's or something like that, and they're different than some of the smaller discount grocers. But they have found their niche. There's a lot of those kinds of opportunities, I think, that could fit and work here. I think you have a great tool by having an enterprise zone and an opportunity to build upon that. I think that there are opportunities that would work here. It's understanding what they are, and then working with them, and then marketing them. And I'm confident that we can help you out with that.
Got my hearing aid in. We were just recently opened up a Taco Bell. We had a KFC Taco Bell, and it was a franchisee doing well here, but the franchisee went into bankruptcy and they closed his store. Well, a different franchisee of Taco Bell that has franchises in the local area took the chance, and they've built a store, and it's been wildly popular. Do you work with local franchisees rather than the big national chains? Because it's a lot of times it's the franchisee that is expanding out into smaller communities or different neighborhoods or whatever.
Absolutely, and again, if I can sit and talk to Craig and kind of understand who some of those people are, that absolutely. And oftentimes it's working with the corporate people, because they have a say, and they do their due diligence on looking at store locations. But you're right, you're absolutely right. It's the franchisee is the one that's putting up his money, and it's their investment, it's their risk. And so they're the ones that ultimately make the decision. And so, and with a lot of the quick serve and fast food restaurants, they are franchises. And same thing with hotels. I'm very familiar with the Best Western product. I have a couple of very good friends of mine that are hotel developers, and one person does a number of Marriotts. He does through International Hotel Group. He does Holiday Inn Expresses, but he does a lot of Best Western, and it's a good product type. It's a good fit for this kind of community, and it would work great here. And I'm glad to hear that you've got an opportunity for that. But franchisees are a critical part in a lot of retail, but especially in the restaurant operations. And so I think it's understanding how that person is doing, and they can help paint that picture and tell that story too. And so I think you're absolutely right, that's an integral part of the business community.
Okay. All right, well, I know we're on the agenda tonight. Mark, would you like to step up and give us a little staff thought about this presentation and your thoughts and ideas? Mark, would you introduce yourself?
Mark Staples, Planning Director for the city. I briefly looked over this. Coincidentally, I worked at Marina Valley the 2 years before you showed up. So I left and they hired him on. One thing I see is that if this process, I think what you've been asking or bringing up, digging more into who are the players, figuring out the specific ideal businesses, tenants, whatever they may be, specific for Taft. What's missing in this area? What is on the cusp of us meeting the trip counts and population demands? Because Taco Bell did take a chance on us, because I'm sure our numbers don't quite meet those minimums that a lot of the corporate level folks would discard when it comes to us. So if we can get something like that out of this process, that would definitely help. Something more specific, groups that we could, identifying groups we could work with, finding those Western regional managers. I know our city managers, spoken with a lot of those folks in past ICSC events. So anything further we can do to get Taft's name out there. I think our last event was pretty successful, so anything we could continue to do, I think, would help.
And not having the enterprise zone and not having our redevelopment agency, we're back to kind of square one, and we've always talked about, maybe hiring a person with economic development background, or, a specific person, sharing duties or something along that line. So, it's always in the back of our mind, because we don't have the time, and staff doesn't have the time to get out there and do these kinds of marketing, meet and greeting people and know people, and know, who's a player, not a player, and what compatible and suitable for this city of Taft. So.
And HDL is a recognizable company, and whatever product they produce is something that we could reproduce at future ICSCs and any person-to-person meetings we have with possible tenants.
And they're already doing work for us.
Right.
Mr. Jones, you have some comments?
Yes, Mayor. I just wanted to point out that one of the difficulties we have with the corporations when we talk to them is trying to explain and quantify our daytime population because of the oil fields. When they look at the hard numbers, our demographics, our median household income levels, they automatically just discount us. You guys don't meet our criteria. And I think with some more in-depth research, we could possibly show them that they could make money in Taft. And I think having someone reputable like HDL on our side would be helpful. For the cost of the pilot program, I think it's worth the investment. Staff has put together some research that I think would be helpful for them to start with, that would allow them to spend more time on things that we haven't researched. So I personally think it would be money well spent. HDL would not put their name on something that's that would be a waste of our time. I believe they don't put their name on things that.
Mr. Foster might have had a wake-up call if he would have gone up I-5 to 119 and then come in that way and saw all the traffic that is leaving this area on a daily basis. You would have probably passed in the neighborhood of 500 to 1,000 automobiles that are taking their dollars, earning it over here, and taking it and spending it over there. So our whole goal here has been for years is try to capture that traffic and capture those dollars in our community. But
It's also kind of hard to believe that sometimes, like the hotel will happen with just the right person making a phone call to the right person and set up a deal like a $4.5 million hotel. And people with connections that have the ability to talk and discuss and explain community needs with someone will go a lot further than myself, because of course I'm going to say good things about Taft because, it's Taft, but to have someone else do that on our behalf, I think will go a long way.
Okay. Any other questions, Council? All right, well, thank you, Mr. Foster. We very much appreciate your presentation. Do you have any closing statements, or?
No, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity, and I enjoyed the dialogue, and I firmly believe, just touch upon some of the things that the city manager discussed, is I think that we can be the right partner for you. I think we can tell that story. And oftentimes it is something that it's that phone call, it's knowing somebody. I've been in this business a long, long time. When I went to HDL, I brought with that 2,100 contacts in my Outlook, and so I've built up those relationships with people over the years. There are people that I have never done a deal with, but I will someday. It's knowing who to contact, and it's building upon those relationships, and that's important. And so I hope I have the opportunity to work with you and help market this community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Okay, we move on to item number 3, citizen requests for public comments, and tonight we don't have anybody. Gee, had their chance. Bad. All right, move on to item number 4, council statements, non-action. Ms. Hill?
I have none, thank you.
Okay. Bryant?
I had the opportunity this last week to represent the city of Taft at the new mayors and city council members academy in Sacramento.
Oh,
I'm grateful for the taxpayers to send me on that to get me trained up, and hopefully, more than anything, I made a lot of new friends. I gathered a lot of business cards, and hopefully we can bring a lot of those people to Taft in October. I did have the pleasure last night of viewing the new movie American Sniper. Pretty much about packed house at the Fox, and it was a great thing to see at the Fox on a Monday night, which was not expected at all. So I'd love to see that over and over, but the movie was amazing. It's unfathomable to understand what that man and his family went through, and I'm grateful for, I'd be remiss to call him anything else but a patriot. So I'd encourage everybody to go check it out. It's a great movie, and aside from that, that's all I've got.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Cryer?
Thank you, Mayor. I hope everybody had a good Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's, and been well into our last meeting. But as everybody knows, we do our April 1st, April 15th taxes. A new law that came about first actually last year. They're going to be paying for it this year because of our new Obamacare that kicked in. It all goes back to Obamacare. We're going to be paying on the federal side on taxes. Top Medicare tax went from 1.5% to 2.35%, an increase of 62%. We'll be paying extra. The income tax bracket, top income tax bracket, went from 35% to 39.8%, an increase of 13%. If you pay a little more on the income tax, you can make over $150,000. Top income payroll taxes for all your businesses and stuff out there went from 37.4% to 52.2%, an increase of 52%. You'll be paying extra for your payroll taxes. Capital gain tax on your stocks and bonds, and if you're selling residence or anything, property went from 15% to 28%, an increase of 87% extra on your taxes. Dividend tax went from 15% to 39.6%, an increase of 165% on your stocks and bonds. Now, the state tax, at one time, you pass away, so you didn't pay any taxes, it was zero. Now, you die this year, or maybe you don't do it, you know, it went from 0% on your estate, it goes to your family, your businesses or anything, went from 0% to 55% of the value. How can a person, a family, take over a business or heirs and pay the taxes on it in order to keep that business? You just can't. It's too hard. And that tax is affinity, you know, on the businesses. Other things that happened because of the taxes that was passed, where Nancy Pelosi said that you have to vote for it in order to it's inside the bill. That's what we got. All this was passed under the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. It was all passed because of that. It came across it. That's just the federal side. That's not even counting the state side coming here in California. It's getting ridiculous and stuff. Now we got a State of the Union address coming up tonight. I'm sure it's already over at 7 o'clock. That he wants to increase taxes on the rich. Who's the rich? I think it's the middle. He wants to get the rich to the middle class. I think it's the middle class that get stuck with it, and all the taxes we're paying the middle class, people who work, will probably go the ones, the so-called middle class, are probably for Obama, the ones that don't work. Or take advantage of our systems, or the illegal aliens, or whatever, they don't want to do anything. That's where they're going to benefit from us. So we're going to pay for it. Rich ain't going to pay for it, because the rich is, it's us. Because the corporation, who's the corporation? It's us. We're the corporation. That's how we get they pay the dividends. They have to make money, pay the dividends that we get from us to we can value our estate and then retire on. So there's a game playing shell game thing. To me, it's like class warfare. You know, try to divide it and give it from the haves to the have-nots and stuff. Who can better outspend the money? We know where to spend the money. We know what to buy, what to use it for, who to give for donations to charities and stuff. So at the bottom end, they're the ones who are going to suffer the most. And the poor will suffer the most because who have the money will buy the goods in order to employ the people who are making the goods. But that's my little rant on that one there. But it's taxes, it takes money from productive people to less productive in government, because government never solves problems. They create problems so they can go ahead and tax us to solve, so they can solve them. So that's what happened come the first of the year. So come April 15th, you can see what happened when you pay your taxes. That's all I have in there.
Thank you. Another little sneaky tax that's going to be hitting us here pretty soon is the gasoline tax because of cap and trade. Now, I don't completely understand cap and trade, and Mr. Knorr here, he could go into a long dissertation about it, but the bottom line is it's going to add anywhere to 15 to 70 cents per gallon of gasoline for this cap and trade, and I still don't understand where all the money is supposed to go to. And that's a tax. And we have a excise tax on gasoline right now that used to be 18 cents a gallon a few years back. And now I think it's up to 60 cents or something. I don't remember us voting on that. I thought the people were supposed to vote on taxing ourselves. I know we have a legislature that represent us, but I don't remember us voting on taxing ourselves that much. So it's just getting out of control. Social Security is a situation that's very like what government's doing. Here we had employers putting in 7.5% of our wages into the fund. The employee was putting in 7.5%. You work so many years. At the end of that time, you retire, and you're supposed to be able to take that money out. They were supposed to invest it to make sure that it was making money and so that you would have a nest egg in retirement. Now, instead of being called a retirement fund, they call it an entitlement. So now we're entitled to our money that we have invested, and they've taken that money and started giving it to people that have never put a dime into the Social Security system. So that's the way government's running, and that's what Mr. Cryer is trying to get to, and that's what Mr. Nor hammers on us all the time about is that it's just out of control. And it's just like we're sitting back having to take it. And it's just, I don't know, I don't have all the answers. I don't think we all have all the answers. But we need to step up sometime and say something. There's a lot of demonstrations going on around the nation about different issues. And I think that one of the issues that we had was Dr. Washington, who is our beloved doctor at the urgent care that many, many people went to, even tried to go on a regular basis, even though he was an urgent care doctor, not a primary care doctor. He has decided to leave, and people did a lot of Facebooking and a lot of Twitters, I guess, and a lot of other, but that's staying at home. If they really wanted to make an impact, we need a demonstration down in front of the urgent care and let him see him, and try to convince him to stay. So there's a good way to demonstrate and for things that we really need, and there's knotheads that are out there just wanting to cause trouble. A lot of things going on in the world. But all we can do for the city of Taft and living here is to take care of our own and take care of our neighbors and take care of our families and just be nice to each other, Just be nice. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, where you pray. It's just, just be nice. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to be a nice city and a nice city council. So we'll try to set an example up here. So thank you very much. That's all I have to say. Do we have any department reports? Oh, back up, Mr. Staples.
I'll just keep it brief. Mark Staples, Planning Director. I just want to thank Mayor Miller and Mayor Pro Tem Noor for attending the first Annexation Committee meeting. That was on January 8th. We bumped the meeting that was originally scheduled in December. We had a real constructive meeting along with Chairman Orrin and Vice Chair Thompson from the Planning Commission and Kathleen Wall from California Resources Corporation, formerly Oxy. It was very much first step, getting familiar with all the terminology, where the city's been before with annexations and what steps we need to take before we meet again. And speaking of meeting again, it was generally agreed upon that we'll only meet quarterly, so it'll probably be sometime April or so before we meet again, once we get a chance to compile some data and figure out what areas to look for to possibly annex and then move the process forward. And then just kind of a brief, I guess a preview. Tomorrow night at Planning Commission, we're going to start the process of updating the housing element in the general plan. And again, that's going to be similar to the committee meeting for the annexations, where it's a first step. I think we'll have a regular item with the commission to go over the different areas of the document. This go around, all we have to really do is update the old document with the current data, and then update our programs. So I'm going to start the commission on that tomorrow night, and then we might have a quick session of a committee meeting, so we might have to get some more volunteers for a housing element committee right before the summer, and then we'll try to finish this up by the due date in December of this year. It should be able to be done that quick, with it being more of an update than having to hire a consultant and spend $50,000 on a brand new document. So that's a little preview on tomorrow's Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Whiting.
Mr. Mayor, City Council persons. Tonight I wanted to just give you a little brief overview of Prop 47 and how it's actually affecting us, and give you some of the trends and where I think it's going. As you know, we were affected by AB 109 back in 2011, and that was to allow for a prison reduction. Those inmates that should have been in state prisons made their way into county jails, and the county jails were full. After that, we had Prop 36, which eliminated a lot of the 3 strikes, to the 3rd strike having to be a serious felony. And now we have Prop 47. Now, Prop 47 is actually pretty interesting because what was originally a felony crime have all been reduced to cite releasable misdemeanors. Veritably, almost all possession of drug crimes, possession of methamphetamine, cocaine, marijuana, heroin, PCP, ketamine, date rape drug, are all now misdemeanors. We can't even arrest for them. We have to cite release them. Property crimes, where the cost of the item that is stolen or the damage to that item, if it's under $950, is now a misdemeanor. And I got to tell you, that's pretty frustrating because my officers are seeing it and they're having to deal with it. I had to deal with it just last month, just before Christmas. One of our citizens had a generator stolen. I was able to track down the suspect, found the stolen generator. Prior to Prop 47, this would have been 1 count of grand theft and 1 count of receiving stolen property. In this case, the most I could do was cite release him and give the generator back to the victim. Very frustrating. In looking at our crime stats for 2013 to November of 2014, those stats are set in concrete, so we know what they are. I simply took all of those felonies that we made arrests for, both reported to us and on-sites by our officers, reduced them to misdemeanors under Prop 47, and you see a pretty big sway of almost 60% reduction in felony arrests and crimes.
Do you think you might be able to come next council meeting and maybe pie chart or what do you call that? PowerPoint, something, and show some statistics?
I'll see if I can put something together. Just realize though that it only occurred in November 4th, so we're still only 2 months into any real stats on this. The projections, if they hold true, you will see some changes. For example, every couple of weeks we give you our stats from our department, and when you look at those stats, you'll see roughly 320 calls for service in a 2-week period for our officers. You'll see that about 60% of those calls are mostly on-sites, with the remaining 40% where we were actually called by citizens to the crime to make the report. And then you see the various amounts of felonies and the various breakdown of misdemeanors per every 2 weeks. What you will probably see, and what I'm, again, because of Prop 47, felonies for the year will diminish quite a lot, because a lot of those felonies are ones that we can catch for our drug crimes and property crimes. And then you'll see a rise in misdemeanors. You're going to start seeing a lot more warrant arrests, because as we're citing these people, and you know we don't have our court here, those people are not going to appear and they're not going to wait for the bus to go over to Lamont Court. So you're going to see probably a rise in warrant arrests. The Sheriff's Department's already seen a pretty good increase of warrants that need to be arrested on, and same with City of Bakersfield, just in the 2 months that this has been out. Now the sheriff has seen a reduction in jail population, which is good for him. The problem is those people are out there and they're in our community and they're stealing from us, and there really is no way to abate that. You know, we can't put an officer on every corner. We can't put an officer in everybody's house and their yard. We just don't have that funding, and we're never going to have that funding. So ever more than before, when I talked about this the year before that, you need to keep your property locked up. You really need to keep your property locked up. You need to keep an eye on it. Have your neighbors watch it if you're not there. Call us if you need a vacation check. But keep it locked up. Keep the items out of your cars, because they will get in your cars and they will steal stuff. How many cite and releases can a person get before you think that they're a problem and then they ought to go to jail? It's unlimited. Our hands are tied. It is a cite release. And they may never even show up to court. I mean, well, if they issue a warrant for the arrest, typically on a misdemeanor case, which it is, we'll catch them and we will cite release them on the warrant. Okay, I'm not making it up. Okay, now eventually what happens is if you fail to appear enough, the judge will make it a no bail warrant, and then of course we can arrest you on the no bail warrant and it's not citable, and we'll take you into court. But how many times do you have to commit a crime and be cited before that becomes effectual? We don't know yet. This is gonna be new for us too. Again, my speculation is you're gonna see a lot more warrant arrests. You're going to start seeing a lot more misdemeanor arrests, and a lot less felony arrests. Kind of like water, it's going to rise and lower to the level it wants to. Depends on where those dams are
So
at.
the 950 is kind of the, criteria, whether
Set by
you
the
take them to
legislature
jail or
as the
not.
money amount.
So I'm sure they're wising up to that, too.
They are, absolutely. They know what they can get away with. And the legislature actually compounded it, so if a guy goes in and he writes a $900 check and comes back the next day and writes a $900 check, and comes the next day and writes another $900 check, you know, it's not $2,700 a felony, it's still a misdemeanor for each case. So, and they know that. They know what it is.
They stole 3 TVs and we're firing all the fees. It's still a misdemeanor then.
Yep.
Or it adds up to $1,500.
They still,
Here's one for you. See a show of hands, everybody here that's actually seen cars worth less than $950 on either Craigslist, camera ads. Those cars get stolen and it gets reported to us. One of the first questions that has to be asked now during the pursuit will be, is that car less than $950? Because we don't chase misdemeanors. Do you get where that's going? And if we do catch them, or they should give up, we have to give them a ticket. So, Prop 47 is
They
going
wreck
to...
your car, too, and they don't have insurance, and
Yeah, and it's frustrating because you're going to spend a lot of man-hours trying to do follow-up on a case that it's invariably you're going to give a guy a traffic ticket on and he may not appear on. So it's going to become very frustrating for the officers and for the citizens because the citizens are going to have to endure this level of justice.
And most people who say have a home and have in a homeowner's policy on their, usually have a $500 deductible for theft. So, you know, you're out $500 if you want to turn it in, which could kick your insurance. You know, it's, the person that's getting stolen from is the big loser. And the legislature, I guess, that thinks that $950 isn't much money. But when it's your $950 that you worked for and saved up and you went out and purchased, and now you got to save up another $950 to go out and get that item again because the perpetrator isn't going to fork up the money or he's not going to jail, and he's out robbing your neighbor of his $950. So it's just,
Well, we had one today.
what were they thinking? And that's what kind of Mr. Cryer and I were talking about earlier.
We had one today where the reporting party was quite enraged with us because we had the audacity to ask, how much is the damage here? Because if it's under $950, it has to be a misdemeanor. And they thought, well, they were very upset about that. You know, we don't make this stuff up. We have to ask now, so we know, you know, where this falls into. Vandalism is at $5,000 before it becomes a felony.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. So those, over my course of more than 30 years in law enforcement, I've seen the numbers change. Grand theft went from 200 to 400, now it's 950. You know, it's changed over the years, but it never seems to be in the favor of victims. It always seems to be the favor of, you know, the suspects in the justice system. It's kind of sad because we all know that we work very hard for our property and we'd like to be able to get it back to you. We'd also like to see justice served, and you don't always get the same thing. So it's pretty frustrating. We are watching those trends. I will come back in 2 weeks and see if I can give you some statistics to look at some of the things that we see. And my sergeants and I have talked about it, Lieutenant, and we think we have something that later in this year, I mean more towards April or May, then we may have something to help combat that just a little bit, see if we can make a difference. So, but I'm not prepared to talk about it tonight, but.
The biggest difference is everybody looking out for everybody, not just yourself.
It will make a difference.
But look down the street and you see somebody suspicious, call it in, call it in, call it in.
Absolutely. Keep your stuff locked in, and if you think something doesn't look right, call us. We'll come take a look at it.
We're gonna do a citizens patrol one of these days, or work on that?
What's that?
Citizen patrol in the evenings?
Yeah, Sergeant Bilby is working on that, and I think this week you're going to be seeing some ads go out asking for people to apply.
Very nice. It's very important that we secure your property, like you said, engage your community, like the mayor said. You know your neighbors. know what's typical and what's not of those areas. And, secure your home and protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Don't tell everybody where you're at when you're Elwood Coast on Facebook, 'cause, that's like one of the dumbest things you can do.
Also, a case that I took just before Christmas, even though this occurs more in the county than into the city, we do own the property out here on Petroleum Club, in which an oil company has lost about $6,000 worth of copper wire out there. So it does affect us here in the city, the rural oil field thefts. It's not just the scavengers, it's not just the burglars and the people that break in the cars, but we've actually seen it right here on the fringes of our city too.
Center Street.
So, and again, we can't put an officer behind every piece of sagebrush out there either. It becomes a little frustrating. Realistically, it's going to rely on more of a team effort, not just the officers, but the citizens, everybody looking and watching out for themselves. Keep your stuff locked up. You really got to do it. A lot of our crimes, the stuff has just been left out there. So you just have to keep an eye on it. Keep it locked up. Call us if you see anything suspicious. We're glad to be out. Come out and take a look. And that's all I have.
Chief, thank you very much. I notice we have, Brent, I can't even remember your title now.
Captain?
Battalion Chief, right, Battalion Chief Brent Moon with the Kern County Fire Department, our fire department for the city of Taft, so we're glad to have you here. And
Your fire department, glad to be here, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just as Chief Whiting would say, deviance from normal, we're allowing a new normal. A lot of things are happening. The more we allow, the more we have at risk. We need to, watch the laws, watch the taxes, and watch our behavior and what we do. Kind of along those lines, just a note of what's happening in the fire service. You might have noticed with all the law changes at the first of the year that new smoke detectors, battery-operated smoke detectors, no longer have removable batteries. From now on, they have a shelf life. It's a sealed unit for 10 years. Your smoke detector and your battery are all one. It goes up on your wall, and in 10 years, it's no longer valid. So from now on, we had a big push in the 80s to put smoke detectors up, and fire fatalities went down. And then we have smoke detectors in a lot of places, but they don't have batteries, and fatalities are going up. We've had some near misses here. People aren't aware there's a fire. They think, I'll always know, but you don't know. When the smoke gets there and you start breathing it, you just don't wake up. You don't, your body's affected by that smoke where you can't figure out how to get out of your house. One time I had an opportunity to take a lady out of a house, and she was so frustrated. She lived in that house for 10 years, and says after she breathed the smoke, she couldn't figure out how to get out of her house. Had no idea where the door was or how to find it. And she passed out her house until we found her. So that's become an issue, and so now to solve that problem, you have sealed battery smoke detectors. There's hardwire smoke detectors are required still, new construction and, like the hotel and that. But the battery-operated ones will be a sealed unit. They'll be changed out every 10 years. They have
Is that effective January 1?
January 1 from now on. So any smoke detectors we have at the station that we're putting up and spot checking things, we'll be looking for those kind of detectors. Also, as the building department, everybody knows, every bedroom's supposed to have one, as well as the living areas.
Is that something the legislature mandated? Is that a good thing?
Yes, it was a good thing.
Gee, they did one good thing out of all the...
So it was a reaction to about a 10-year trend that finally something's changed.
Yeah.
So we have that, and like I said, your fire department's proud to be here, and we appreciate all the support.
How'd we do last year, Brent? Do you have any stats? I mean, was it kind of a normal year, up year on anything, down year?
Well, as far as fires, things like that, I don't have any totals for you. I could get some if you'd like, the stats and that, but I don't have anything with me tonight.
Okay.
We're getting some rain, and so that's welcome, and I think we're going to have more fires in the...
Yeah, but it's going to be a lot more weeds come springtime, too, so...
Yeah. So, enjoy the weather, but be ready when spring comes.
Chief, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Any other department reports? Okay, move on to this item number 6, city manager statements. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add on to the police chief's comments. I think if everyone in the community bands together and keeps an eye out for each other instead of just worrying about themselves, A lot of people are busy and don't tend to take time to call things in when they see things that may not look right. We don't want that to become the norm, because once it becomes a norm, it's not a big deal anymore. So I think that for us to make a stand against the thieves in our community, that we all need to keep an eye out. And I don't want to say get involved, but you're not going to go out and chase them down, but call it in. If you see something that don't look right, call it in, and look out for your neighbor, look out for your neighborhood, and look out for your community. That's all I have.
Yeah, and you gotta remember when you're out shopping, there's a lot of brazen shoplifting and strong arm robberies going
Unless your
on
thefts
too,
are in
so.
the middle of the daytime, they'll
Yeah.
go right in your house while you're gone at work.
So when you're out and you see something suspicious, just get on the phone and call. They're not gonna arrest you for calling them, so, call them, let you know if something's going on.
And as our police chief would say, an armed community is a safe community.
There you go. Item number 7, city attorney's statements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No statement.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 8, future agenda requests. Do we have any future agenda requests?
I do.
Go ahead, Virgil. Okay.
I'd like
Carter?
to do a proclamation for February for the Safe Surrender Maybe Awareness Month.
Yeah, we're already working on it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll concur on that, so we have that. Good, so that's for the month of February?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
The same way we had last year, which worked out pretty good, that program.
Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, I would like to bring up some sort of proclamation or recognition for the public safety, law enforcement, and specifically here in Taft with our county fire department and our city police. I believe the month of May has National Police Week as its designation, I believe May 15th. And I'd like to see us consider that in the future, specifically giving, Councilmember Noor last time during the meeting, he mentioned the hands up, don't shoot thing. Mayor Miller had mentioned, having respect, and a lot of the different demonstrations going on regarding police issues. So I think it's important we recognize the service that public safety provides to us, specifically in this
So
community.
you have a date in mind, or?
Looking at the calendar, I believe, again, the day is, May 15th is the
So you want to make
specific
it for a
day.
month of May or a week
For the
away from
first
May?
meeting. The first meeting.
The month of May would be fantastic.
First meeting in May, proclaiming May.
Okay, I would concur on that
law
also.
enforcement
So we'll work that out with staff, and if you have more input on it, contact the vet.
Thank you.
All right. That was, Mr. Cryer had the item that I was thinking about, same thing, so good, taken care of. All right, we're moving on to the consent calendars, items 9 through 18. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be removed from this consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, we'll move on. Then the consent calendar consists of item 9, minutes from the December 16th regular meeting. Payment of bills for the month of December. The treasurer's report, file and date the report dated December 18th, 2014 for the month of October 2014. Item number 12, second reading ordinance amendment relating to the fireworks stands. Second reading, item 13, second reading zoning ordinance amendment relating to signings. Item 14, MIG consulting agreement for Taft Transit Center. Item 15, a proposal to develop a long-range property management plan. That's with HDL. Item 16, planning director attend the American Planning Association 2015 National Planning Conference in Seattle, Washington, April 18th through 21st, 2015. Item 17, delinquent commercial sewer and refuse accounts. We're moving to remove 2 properties from the lien process. Then item 18, Kern Street Sewer Main Repair Contract Award. This is a repair that's going to be taking place in the 1100, 1200 block of Kern Street?
1300, I think. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, basically in front of the Albertson Shopping Center. Would any councilman like any of the items pulled?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to pull items 14, 15, and 17, please.
Okay, and okay. 14,
Yes, sir.
15,
Yes, sir.
and 17.
Yes, sir.
And then I'd like to pull item number 18, so. Now we're back to voting on approving consent calendar items number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 16. Madam Clerk, will you?
I move.
Oh, wait, we need a vote, yeah, forgot that part. We need a motion and a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, will you pull the board, please?
Yes. Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Noor, absent.
Passed on a 4-0 vote with one absence. Item number 14, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Taft has received a grant funding from Caltrans to develop a transit center facility along Supply Road near the Oil Worker Monument. Staff is initiating the first phase of the project, which is the initial design phase. Staff recommends entering into a professional service agreement with MIG to prepare preliminary site layouts and draft architectural storyboard for the project. Preliminary drafts will be presented to the council to receive comments on the design alternatives. From those comments, MIG will prepare final concept drawings for council review, approval, and recommendations moving forward to the working drawing phase. Grant funding will be through PT MISIA, which is Public Transportation Modernization Improvement and Service Enhancement Act. City has received $1 million in grant funding to date, with another $400,000 awarded to be received through future bond sales.
We need to have a motion and a second on this item. The motion is to approve an agreement between the City of Taft and MIG and to authorize the mayor to execute said agreement.
Make a motion.
Second. No comment? I have no comment.
You know, I just wanted to pull it and make sure that everyone knew, specifically the taxpayers, that this is grant funded, correct, City Manager?
Yes.
So it's not coming out of the city's pocket.
No, this was an award through a competitive process from leftover funding through the PT MISIA program. The city was awarded approximately 2 years ago. Through bond sales, we've received $1 million to start the project. Current council of government's getting anxious for us to start the project. With the city finances the way they were before the CCF opened up, I was kind of apprehensive to start the project without having the $400,000, but we feel confident now that we can begin at least the design phase and start moving towards the construction phase.
Very good.
It'll be a nice complement to the area of Rails to Trails.
For those who don't remember, we were talking about putting the transit at 3rd and Center Street, and found that property location didn't suit our needs. And so now we're going to locate it adjacent to the Oil Workers Monument on the Supply Row and share a parking lot and some other.
A separate funded project is the adjoining parking lot that will be next to the Oil Worker Monument that was funded through the CMAQ funding through Caltrans also. That's a $457,000.
Another grant funded project?
Grant funded project. So together, you're looking at over $2 million in grant funding that we're going to be able to utilize in our Rails to Trails area. It's going to be a nice complement to the new hotel and the Oil Worker Monument.
Okay, well, thank you. Madam Clerk, will you poll the council, please?
Yes. Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Noor is absent.
Pass on a 4-0 vote with one absent. Item 15, Mr. Jones, proposal to develop a long-range property management plan.
Thank you, Mayor. The Development Agency Dissolution Law, adopted through approval of Assembly Bill 1X26, AB 1484, included Section 34191.5 of the law requiring the successor agency to develop a long-term property management plan that will serve to determine the disposition of the use of properties owned by the former redevelopment agency. Long-range property management plan will provide a basis for the disposition and use of properties owned by the former Taft Community Development Agency. City of Taft currently contracts with HDL for property tax services and is an extension of the services outlined in the contract. HDL can provide the required long-range management plan. The fee for the service is based on time and materials basis which will not exceed the amount of $15,000.
Recommended action on this item is to approve the proposal from HDL to develop long-range property management plan and to authorize the mayor to execute the proposal, and it's not to exceed $15,000.
Motion.
Second. Mr. Bryant.
I just wanted to make sure there was clarity on this item, make sure it was all open, and the discussion on this is something that the city's required to do as a result of the state's decision to dissolve RDAs, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's something that, not money we want to spend necessarily, but money we're required to spend.
Right. Ms. Hill? Mr. Pryor?
Heard our discussion, our workshop, and something we need in Taft, and I think it'd be great.
And we're behind the gun on this one because there is a deadline that has to be done, so we don't want to pass the deadline for the Department of Finance.
All right. Madam Clerk, will you pull the council, please?
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Nor is absent.
That passes on a 4-0 vote and one absent. Item number 17, delinquent commercial sewer and refuse accounts. Mr. Jones.
Is that one pulled? Yes. Sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry. On December 16, 2014, the city held a public hearing in regards to delinquent commercial and sewer and refuse accounts. Council's decision was to place a lien on any property with an outstanding amount 30 days after the adoption of their resolutions. It was brought to staff's attention that 2 properties were in payment arrangements and were in good standing by the current tenants. Staff is requesting that these 2 properties be excluded from the lien process as long as these payments arrangements are kept current. The 2 properties are 129 Kern Street. The amount owed is $3,176.16, and 314 Center Street. Total amount $569.89.
Recommended action is to approve, make a motion to approve removing the 2 properties from the lien process.
Motion.
Second. Mr. Bryant.
My question was, how are we actually making these arrangements? Is there specified milestones they have to meet? You know, for the one that owes almost $3,200, they have to pay X amount by this date, or?
The payment arrangements were arranged with our finance director to prevent causing the business to close.
Okay.
So the arrangement was that they have to stay current on their current, and they have to make a sizable contribution on the amount they're in the arrears. I believe when we first started with the property on Kern Street, it was more than $7,000 arrears, and now they've jewed it down to 36. So there's really no set amount. It's just something that makes sense, but they have to keep current on.
And they have a signed agreement with the city.
That's good.
Yeah.
Kind of a promissory note type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, so they've signed an agreement, and Teresa meets with them, and when they don't make the payments, or if they don't make the payments, she speaks with them. But if they don't make good on their payment arrangements, it'll be brought back to city council for a recommendation to put a lien on the property. In one instance, the property owner was willing to pay the amount in full, but it would adversely affect the business that was there, and we don't want anyone to go out of business. We just want them to pay their bills.
Absolutely. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that, again, that was clear that the whole intent of this is not to put people out of business. Obviously, we've been remiss as a city and as a government, and so we've gotten lax in some of these items, and we've made the changes to remedy that situation.
And one of the things we've added to the process is that was identified when we went through this process is a lot of the businesses rent from tenants that are responsible for paying it if their tenants don't. So now, if someone is delinquent, the property owner will also get a notice. And some of the property owners have made statements that they will just increase their rent and collect it from their tenant and pay the city directly, which we can't force them to legally, but if they do it themselves, it'll save everyone a lot of hassle.
That was going to be my next question, so thank you very much.
Well, and the other hammer that we have is to pull the business license. But, we don't want to do that. We want to keep them in business, keep them paying their sales tax and be successful. But when it comes to time when things are hurting, the last thing they're going to pay is their sewer and refuse. And for the folks that may not know, City of Taft bills commercial vendors monthly, whereas when you're residents, it's added to your tax bill. So, and then the business depends on how much they're generating sewer-wise and trash-wise, depends on what kind of bill they get once a month. So we've tightened everything up, and we're glad to take these off the lien list because they are making progress and they are paying. And as long as they do that and abide by the agreement they have signed, we have no problems.
Thank you to the folks who've taken the initiative to get those current.
So, Madam Clerk, will you poll the council, please?
Yes. Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
And that passes on a 4-0 vote with the one absence. Item number 18, Kern Street Sewer Main Repair Contract Award. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. During routine televised inspection of the city's sewer mains, there was a damaged sewer line discovered in the area of 1000 block of Kern Street on the north side of the street. The line is situated between the state highway and private property located at the Albertson Shopping Center. Staff contacted Wallace Group Engineering firm to evaluate the issue because of the complexity of the repair and the liability issues that may arise. Wallace Group immediately began initiating plans for the emergency repair of the line. Plans and specifications were completed and a call for bids was advertised for the repair.
Okay, let's see. Recommended motion is to award confirmed lowest bid to be GM Engineering, Inc. in the amount of $49,096 for Kern Street sewer repair and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Yes.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do you have any comments?
No comment.
Any comments?
Sorry.
My comment is that in looking at the contracts, we have two contracts there, one with Wallace Group and one with GM Engineering. We noted that there was no requirements in there for the city's insurance requirements as far as liability, workers' comp, and automobile coverage. And so city attorney and the city manager are going to make sure that those requirements are in those two contracts. So the vote we have tonight is contingent upon, if we agree to go ahead with this contract, it's contingent on those two entities to provide the proper insurance coverages, meeting the city's requirements. Am I correct, Mr. Jones? Okay. So that would be an amendment to the motion for, so for GM Engineering, and then for item number 2 is for the Wallace Group is the same thing. We would have an amendment to their contract for the insurance requirements, and so the city attorney will make sure that those requirements are in before any signatures.
Correct. Mr. Mayor, may I just add, and also authorizing the city manager to execute those amendments.
Right. Okay, are we okay with that? All right, Madam Clerk, will you poll the council, please?
Yes. Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
Yes, let's pass on a 4-0 vote with one abstention, or one absence, and with the contingents requirements. Okay. Well, we're at the close of our meeting. We're going to be going into closed session for item A, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9B, one undisclosed case, and then item B, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, City of Taft versus CDCR. We thank you so much for joining us and being here tonight, and we'll see you